The FBI had 26 informants embedded on J6. In what can only be described as a bombshell revelation, the Department of Justice's Office of the Inspector General has disclosed that 26 FBI informants were present amidst the tumult of January 6, 2021, at the U.S. Capitol. This finding has sent shockwaves through the narrative surrounding one of the most contentious days in recent American history, challenging the public's perception of the events and the role of law enforcement. Except for those on the right, and especially people who were there that day, have been saying this from the longest time possible. So let's unpack the informant's presence. The extent of involvement of these 26 informants, known as confidential human sources, CHSS, a significant 65% or 17 individuals reportedly entered restricted areas. 4 of these informants even made their way into the Capitol building itself during the riot, while the remaining 13 were within the security perimeter established for the electoral certification. So the FBI stance on this. The FBI has consistently maintained that no undercover employees were stationed at the critical locations during the day's events. However, the presence of these informants who were ostensibly there to gather intelligence raises questions about the agency's level of oversight and the clarity of their mission. The fact that these informants entered restricted areas without authorization or subsequent prosecution suggest a disconnect between policy and practice. That leads into the criticism of intelligence coordination. The Inspector General's report also lamblasts the FBI for its failure to fully engage in pre-riot intelligence gathering. A pivotal missed opportunity was not conducting a nationwide canvass of its informants, a standard procedure for such large-scale events. This lapse in intelligence coordination might have contributed to the chaos, as actionable intelligence was not adequately shared across the board, potentially leaving law enforcement unprepared for the scale of the event, which goes along with the hope to pardon the J6 defendants. Trump's promise. President-elect Donald Trump has publicly expressed his intent to review and potentially pardon many of those involved in the January 6 events. This promise has been met with both applause and controversy, as many, especially those who see the legal actions against the J6 defendants as politically motivated. This represents a chance to right what they perceived as wrongs in the justice system. Trump's stance is that many of these individuals were caught up in the moment, influenced, well, especially when the door is wide open for many of them, influenced by misinformation, are simply exercising their First Amendment rights, which the left is always claiming that they're doing. There is constitutional implications. From a constitutionalist perspective, the idea of pardoning those involved in J6 events touches on core issues of liberty, justice, and the right to a fair trial. Critics argue that the legal actions against these defendants have been excessively harsh, possibly violating their constitutional rights, especially when juxtaposed with the revelations about FBI informants' presence and actions. And along comes the political and legal debate. This pardon discourse adds another layer to the already complex debate about January 6. If Trump follows through with these pardons, it would not only affect those directly involved, but also set a precedent for how political protests and their aftermath are handled legally and politically in our constitutional republic. This move could be seen as an attempt to heal divisions, or conversely, as an endorsement of lawlessness by distractors. But I got to tell you, when the left has done this many times, and the left has looked the other way many times on things much worse than January 6, I think it's about time that the right get at least one. The revelation of 26 FBI informants on January 6, coupled with the prospect of pardons for January 6 defendants, paints a picture of the day filled with more questions than answers. challenging the narrative of who was truly responsible and how justice should be administered in our republic. This situation underscores the critical need for a thorough reevaluation of how intelligence is handled and how protests are policed and how justice is served, all within the framework of our constitutional guarantees. And here's a video taken a few months ago when Johnson reacts to the DOJ IG Horowitz supposition there may have been FBI informants in crowd on January 6th. Watch this video.
The floor and pass them so that we can all work together to get this job done. Chad.
You served on the weaponization committee here. There was a supposition made today by Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General for DOJ, that there may have in fact been covert federal agents in the crowd at the Capitol prior to the riot. Do you know anything about that, and what do you make of that, if that's in fact true, which he intimated could be in fact in his report?
I heard that on the floor just now. I've had a busy couple of days, but that is an alarming bit of information. Obviously, we will be digging into it further, and I'll be requesting classified briefings on that. If that is indeed the case, we got to get down to the bottom of that immediately.
Yes. What odds on the way that you feel about Republicans keeping the majority? What odds would you put on?
Oh, I'm very bullish about November. I've been traveling the country nonstop. Some of you know what I've been doing. I've done campaign events in 207 cities across 39 states so far, and I have a everyday full agenda all the way through the election. What I'm seeing around the country is a real energy on the ground. I don't think the polling is even accurately reflecting that, but even the polling, almost all the polls favor the House Republicans to keep and grow the majority. So I expect a very strong November. I'm convinced we're going to win the Senate as well, and I believe Donald Trump's going back to the White House. I would be a fool to project a certain number of seats, but let me just say I'm very optimistic. I mean, we have, I'll just say this, we have extraordinary candidates in the field to flip some of these seats from blue to red and to fill the open seats. And it's at the end of the day, it's not about the quantity of the cash, it's the quality of the candidate. And the people that we have out making the case and providing answers are providing it in the right tone and with great credibility. And so it has just really been resonated well, I think, with the American people.
Are you bringing you the news that matters? It's time to do right, think right, go right, be right for America and to make the world great again. Go right with Peter Boykin, constitutionalist for liberty, bringing you the news that matters. Do right, think right, go right, be right for America. Let's make the world great again. Tune in to Go Right News, let freedom begin. Let's make the world great again. Tune in to Go Right News, let freedom begin.